first speaker tonight is Jason Gilron. He's the co-owner of Pacific Restaurant Supply, where we are tonight. And he will, our theme is From Your Roots. So you'll probably hear a lot of people talking about how they got into the business they're in and where they've taken their business from then until now. So please join me in welcoming Jason.
Get it out of your system. So, yes, that is me, age 5 or 6. I was a middle-class kid growing up in Ottawa in the 70s and 80s. And Ottawa's an average-sized city in a first-world country. Life is not that difficult. My parents were immigrants, and they worked moderately hard for, the comfortable life that we lived. I was well socialized, I had lots of friends from a big-ish family. I even had I was born with a built-in buddy. Let me see if this works. That's my twin brother on the left-hand side. So our parents divorced when I was young, and bouncing back and forth between 2 working parents meant that we were on our own a lot. Between my brother and I was the most interested in cooking. I actually gravitated towards it, but not just out of necessity because we had to feed ourselves, because I was actually genuinely drawn to cooking. I like the creative element. My family is full of musicians and artists, and cooking sort of fits in with that. Both of my older brothers, those are not them, worked at restaurants, bussing and serving tables. So at a time when most kids my age were getting paper routes, I got a job at a neighborhood restaurant, washing dishes. Let's see, it's not working. There we go. That is also not me. It was gross. It was greasy, it was messy, it was filthy. Looked something like this. Maybe not that bad. The staff were crass. Everybody smoked in the kitchen. Oh, I missed it. And I learned a lot of good swear words. It was an entirely new lexicon. The kind of language that a 14-year-old kid had never heard before. I had a lot of fun researching this slide. I probably killed at least half an hour just looking at memes. It's great. I absolutely loved it. I don't know why, but I was drawn to it. And I wanted to learn more. I wanted to get more into cooking. I was pestering the chef owner of the restaurant. Can I get into the kitchen? Can I do more stuff? Washing dishes was the in, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I wore him down, because eventually he let me start doing more prep work. And I graduated to do it like this. Line cook. That's not me. Over those formative years, I bounced around a bunch of different kitchens. This is what happens for young cooks. And part-time weekend jobs turned into full-time summer jobs. So I was in, I felt like this is what I wanted to do, but I was still young. Unfortunately, what comes with the life, can be a little unhealthy. Without discipline, things get out of hand, you get sucked into the life a little bit, and yeah, it's dangerous, let's put it that way. Finally, one of the chefs that I was working with at the time, he recognized that I had some promise, and he suggested that I follow into some training, and I took culinary classes at the local institute, and I followed that by completing my Red Seal apprenticeship. Then, something happened. It's a common story for many in our industry. Boy meets girl, boy marries girl, girl wants to spend all of her time with boy, but boy is a chef, and boy works all the wrong hours. We hardly saw each other in those years. I'd say ships passing in the night is one way of putting it. And then, something else happened. Now it was serious. I couldn't get away with working the night shift at a restaurant or going up north to a fishing resort for 4 months straight. I don't even know how chefs these days do it, working the long hours, weekends, and nights, and still have time for families. So I decided to get out of the kitchen. But without a formal education, at age 30-something, I wasn't about to go get some Joe job to try and support my family. I've already done all that stuff. So kitchen and food service consulting, I don't know who that guy is, but he's just so in charge. Kitchen and food service consulting was the natural choice for me. I started doing contract work in which I could make up my own hours, I could pick who I wanted to work with, and it was a great experience. But I found that prospecting for work was actually more difficult than I had imagined. So in my day-to-day consulting business, I often had to source kitchen equipment for my clients. And this meant going to auctions and big dirty warehouses with used equipment. And it was then that I got to know Pacific Restaurant Supply, where we are today. After a while, I was offered a position in sales, which is actually not something I ever thought I was going to be able to do. But I took to it, and eventually I experienced a reasonable level of success. So here I am, 9 years later. I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to partner with the brothers Evanel, Luke and Jason, and we've grown the company to what you see here today. Pacific is a kitchen equipment and smallwares dealership. It's open to the public. We have a highly specialized design and project management division. We're focused exclusively on food service. We're capable of executing large contracts for institutional and chain business. We have a custom fabrication facility in Poco, where we produce top quality stainless steel components for all kitchens and the bars. And of course, next door, we have a well-stocked warehouse, which is basically in downtown Vancouver. My average day consists of meeting with key clients to facilitate design specifications for new restaurant build or bars, cafes, that sort of thing. I'm also the lead as far as managing our relationships with the vendors and the factories that supply to us. That includes curating the brands that we display, what we recommend to our customers, what we sell. And finally, when possible, I try and mentor a new talent coming into the company. It's a vibrant, fast-paced environment in which we thrive. Trends and fads need to be watched. We need to stay at the forefront of innovation in the industry, the evolution in cooking. But most importantly, I love my job. I get to work with great people and on some of the most interesting new restaurants, up-and-coming restaurateurs, chefs, and operators. I get to eat at some of the most amazing restaurants. If I had to sum it up in one word, it's fun. Thank you.